Okay, I'm at 5069 Pinecrest Drive in Morrow, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection. This is a re-inspection. Apparently this was inspected for a buyer, and they just wanted a second opinion and a locate, and try to find out if it does need to be fixed, where, and what needs to be done. So we'll make note of anything we feel is necessary along the way. Okay, so we are in there, but we're got a little goo from going through the clean out, so it covered the camera. So we're going to run some water and see if we can rinse that off. Then I'll pull back and zero out the counter. Okay, we're at the base of the clean out. We're rinsed off. I'm going to kind of slowly push out so we can get a look at the transition. So, this looks like PVC here, and looks to be there's a clean out front. So we're going to pause the video, and I'm going to locate exactly where the where this outside clean out is. So if we need access, we can get it. Okay, we've marked, and we actually dug up the clean out. You can tell this is PVC. So it's probably PVC all the way out to the ejector pump. But we're going to go ahead and push all the way out just to get a look at it. What I think that spot is where they changed material when they installed this PVC, and that's what all this water is. And if I need to, I'll go get a little standoff. The camera lens is only about maybe a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, and so we'll push out into the all the way out, and we'll kind of let it drain. We've been running water for a while. But you have PVC going out to the presumably all the way out to the tank, and that low spot is where the connection was made with a fern co, and so it doesn't look to me like it's broken. Actually, it looks like that's where, you know, they can't connect. You can't glue PVC to cast iron, so they use a rubber coupling or a fern co to make that connection. So I'm going to try to push out, and then we'll pull back. I might be sitting in it. Hopefully we can get this to drain down now that we've been running water. Well, I may be in that tank already. Yeah, it's PVC all the way out. There it is. So what it was, there was a piece of toilet paper there that just hadn't made its way all the way out into the ejector pump. So I just pushed it on through, and now it's all going to drain down. Obviously the line is flat because it's that's the whole reason for the ejector pump. It would have been lower. They wouldn't get enough pitch all the way out to the road. But everything past this point is owned by the county. So we'll give this a second, let it drain down, and then we'll pull back and inspect the rest of the pipe. can see that there's a little bit of increase in water there. Just because something, you could tell something flushed or something in the house, and then it went down immediately. But look, again, this camera lens is only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so you have some. Wondering if they tried to clean it or something. Is there something right there at that turn? That's just a piece of toilet paper or something. I do want to mention though is wet wipes. They do not break down like toilet paper, so do not use them. They can mess up that pump and catch in there. They can block the inlet. They don't break down like toilet paper. Toilet paper will, disintegrate. If you ever have a question, you can hold a piece of toilet paper in one hand and a wet wipe in the other, run it underneath the faucet, and watch the toilet paper disintegrate like it's designed to do. And a wet wipe will not. And so they cause a lot of plumbing issues, especially in cast iron. Obviously this is all PVC at this point, but that's what's holding back this little bit of water. I'm going to let this go. There's water flowing by. You can see it flashing, and if I need to, I can put a little like standoff on this camera to lift it up a little bit to get through that little belly. But you can see the mark on the side of the pipe that even under a heavy flush like a laundry or something like that, you can see that water's only getting up to maybe halfway. It doesn't even look that high, maybe a quarter of the height of the pipe. There's that clean out. So now we're going to come back into that transition. And so you can see here, for one, the downstream side is what's sunk, and this is pretty common when they use a Fernco. So it looks like a reducing Fernco at that, which is why it's sitting like this. So you're going from probably like a 3-inch to a 4-inch, and so the downstream side, because they use a rubber coupling, obviously you can't glue PVC to cast iron, and so what they use is a rubber coupling on both ends. And when they backfill, a lot of times you'll have a little bit of sink on the new pipe, which is what happened. As long as the sink is downstream, there's no obstruction to the flow here, and so there's really no need for a repair at this point. I mean, the repair was done. Probably it used to be a septic tank or something, and then this was put in when they put the ejector pump in and did the sewer line. You could check with the county to check the date of that, because they would have records and permits of that when they installed the ejector pump and when they installed the sewer and what they did to connect everything. But so what they're seeing up there on the top of the pipe there, what looks like a little bit of the cast iron, that's where they made the cut, and it probably did, have a jagged, does have a jagged edge to it, but it's on the top of the pipe, and it would be covered by a portion of that black rubber coupling, that Fernco. And so this is cast iron. Cast iron it is starting to wear a channel, which is pretty normal for cast iron. You can have this cleaned, but that's kind of depending on who you talk to, you can get a little bit of different opinion on that. But you can kind of have it deburred, or basically they'd run like a chain through there and try to clear off all the rust. But sometimes you can do more damage than good. You can actually put a hole in the pipe by doing that, because you just can never tell how thick or thin cast iron is. it depends on how good the pipe was that they put in, and it can depend on soil conditions, and so I don't see any visible, holes in the pipe at this point. Cast iron is always ugly. It rusts, and that oxidation turns to this black gunk. It's almost like liquid charcoal. And so here we are. We're in the clean out, and our access point was slightly different. I used the clean out in the floor since we knew that was supposed to be the transition. So we didn't look at the entire cast iron that was covered by presumably the previous inspection. And so I may pause the video and see if we can go back in there just to take a look at that cast iron in between here and there. But from what I found, there's nothing abnormal about that connection. It was done. Basically, the line out there to that pump has already been replaced with PVC. So this was just a connection issue where when they backfilled, the downstream side sunk a little bit, and with a reducing coupling like that, the offset is not affecting flow. The downstream side is lower than the upstream. Okay, so we're going to go in here and just do this, like 20 to 30 feet of cast iron, just to go ahead and take a look at it while we're here. So you can see we're going through this Y here. And again, we'll show, this is the, I don't know if I did that on the first time around, but okay, we're going down through cast iron. There we go. Just to show that, a little bit, so apparently they didn't find any issues. I mean, it does look rough, but all cast iron does, and the older it gets, the worse it looks. And it is starting to wear a little bit of a channel in the bottom of the pipe, but I've seen a lot worse than this. But again, it all depends on the soil conditions. It depends on the type of pipe when it was bought. I've seen stuff that was, there's stuff that was put in commercial buildings in 2000 that have disintegrated before stuff that was put in the 40s. So we'll go back out to that. Hey, that's a big chunk of goo from a flush. And there's that connection again that we were at earlier. So, again, I didn't see any issues with it. The cast iron obviously will, just because of the nature of the pipe, obviously it's cast iron. It will rust through at some point. It's just you really have no idea of being able to gauge the existing thickness of it and how much longer it will last. I don't see, I didn't see any holes in the line. It's basically just that, you're going to have rust, and you don't want to use things because of the rust. You don't want to use things like wet wipes. Sometimes even real expensive toilet paper takes longer to break down. And so they can very easily catch on the rust, just like
if you had rust on anything and your closing catches on it, you don't want to use something that's not going to disintegrate like it's designed to, so that it breaks down if it does get caught. But I don't see any existing holes, anything. It's just a lot of rust and there you go. All right. So again, I'm just going to reiterate that that connection was made well after. That's actually a newer line that was put in, and I also marked and uncovered. We dug up the clean out front to give access between there and the pump. There's a clean out in the floor in the garage right before it exits the house, and then this one here in the wall. And so again, that offset was caused by the connection of a rubber coupling, a reducing coupling, to connect the old cast iron to the new PVC, where it was replaced out to that grinder pump. And when they backfilled, it settled a little bit, and the downstream side settled, so the water does not have to go over top of any lip or anything. It's actually falling down, downstream, which is what you want. I would obviously, the cast iron, that's something that you don't know. Like I mentioned previously, it could have 10 years left in it. It could have 1. Who knows? It's just you could have a lot longer than 10 years left. It's kind of hard to tell unless you can get a look at it on the outside. But I'm going to recommend that this be left alone, and just make sure you're just flushing the right material down here because of the cast iron, and it should be good to go for a while. So that'll end the inspection at 5069 Pinecrest Drive in Morrow, Ohio.